Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Sweden, but we're going to head a little bit north in this review once again, back to Dalarna county, where there seems to be some really good breweries these days. Actually, there seems to be an abundance of good beer coming out of Dalarna, and we're going to go back to a brewery who I first introduced you to a couple of months ago. So we're going to go to Söderbärke, which is close to Birch, kind of almost in the centre of the county actually, and we're going to have another beer from Walhöll Brygghus. So this is my second beer from these guys. This one is called the Birka Tranjuter. It comes in at 5.3% ABV, and this one is a beer. It's got no hops added to it. There's cranberries in it, and it's also got birch leaves, so it should be kind of quite interesting, this one. I'm really curious to see what this beer has in store for us. But this one was released as part of the local Småska League assortment in Systembolaget for July of 2020, and hopefully it turns out to be a very, very nice beer. The last one I had from these guys was the Odin's Imperium. That was a big imperial stout, if I remember rightly, and that was a pretty damn good beer actually. I do need to have a go at some of the other ones that these guys have, because they are supposed to be very, very good actually. But this is one that I saw coming out in the local Småska League, and it seemed a little bit different, so I thought, why not have a go at this? So yeah, really curious to see how this one turns out. Nice to return to Walhöll Brygghus once again, and I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this beer as well. So let's see how we get on. As always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Walhöll Brygghus before, but no doubt you will see some more from these guys in the near future. Like I said, I do need to review some of their other core range beers. I just haven't got around to it yet, but there's all the usual social media down there as well. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, province, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely, hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Walhöll Brygghus then, on to my brewery notes. So Walhöll Brygghus, as I've mentioned to you already, are based in Söderbärke, which is close to Birch up in Dalarna county to the northwest of Stockholm, and this brewery was founded back in 2015 by Karin Tuvel along with her husband Gunnar. So Karin has a background as a teacher and also as a chef, and she also runs a gym with Gunnar as well, so quite a diverse kind of family business they've got there. But she was also a member of the local dart club, and it was through this that her interest in beer really began to grow quite a lot, and she started home brewing back in 2012 before beginning the plan for a proper brewery in 2014. So she's really interested in Swedish history and Nordic mythology, and so as a result of this, most of the beers, I think pretty much all of them actually, are named after various different things from Nordic mythology. So the name of this brewery is taken from an old soft drink factory in the town which was called Walhall. But this name was apparently taken, and then she saw the Icelandic spelling of it and used that for the name of the brewery, hence Walhöll. So they started off with a 200 litre brew kit, and by 2016 they had their beers in Systembolaget, and they had produced around 12,000 litres of beer that year. From what I understand, they have kind of scaled up over the last couple of years. They've expanded their fermentation capacity. I'm not sure if they've got a slightly bigger brew kit now, but they are still a very small operation from what I understand. But interestingly, this brewery was also at the centre of a legal dispute over the use of the Nordic names for a beer, and that was the conflict with that was with a Wacken brewery from Germany who tried to trademark the names despite them being commonly used in the beer industry. And these guys, Walhöll Brygghus, received a lot of support from foreign breweries and things to kind of stand up to the brewery in Wacken. And I think the brewery in Wacken was the one that supplies the brewery in Wacken is the one that supplies the big metal festival. You know, it's kind of interesting that. But yeah, it's a bit strange that a German brewery would kind of have a go at a Swedish brewery where, you know, where the Vikings were from, of course. But it's a bit strange, I think, that a German brewery would kind of take would take offence at a Swedish brewery using Viking names. It's a bit kind of just illogical, to be quite honest with you. But obviously that was something that caused a lot of trouble for Karin, and I think the legal battle went on for like 2-3 years or something, and it was fairly recently that the whole thing was cleared, and they were told that, you know, yeah, use the names because, you know, they're basically it's kind of like open source names basically. I really don't see how you know, historical names can be used in law like that. I guess it's maybe just some lawyer jumping the gun, if you like. But yeah, thankfully Walhöll Brygghus are able to use all of these Viking names now without any legal problems, which is great. But yeah, like I said, these guys have produced in the region of 35 different beers as of July 2020, and this is the one that they released through the local Småska League assortment for July of 2020. So yeah, that's all I can really tell you about Walhöll Brygghus just now. This is my second review from these guys. As I said, the Odin's Imperium Imperial Stout was the last one that I did, and they have got a few other beers on their list there that I really should check out at some point too. But this is the one that I thought would be quite interesting for review number 2. But yeah, as I say, if you want to learn more, check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and of course you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn more about all of the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's get on and actually have a taste of this one. So as I mentioned to you at the start of the video, this one is a 5.3% traditional style beer. It's got birch leaves added to it, cranberries, and the name of this one, the Birka Tranjuter. Birka is actually the first Viking city that there was in Sweden, and you'll find it on a little island called Björka, out to the west of Stockholm, and there's a museum and everything to the old Birka city actually, so I guess that's somewhere that I will need to go and have a look at. And as I say, this fits in with Karin's whole thing of being very interested in Nordic mythology, so yeah, pretty cool as I say. But yeah, let's get on and actually have a taste of this beer then. I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork of this one before we open up. There you can see the old Viking artwork. It's almost a little bit Egyptian. If I was looking at that, I would probably think that was Egyptian style artwork rather than Viking, to be honest with you. But that kind of shows you that in ancient history, I'm not the best. My kind of history interests are a little bit more in the modern times. I do like the Vikings and stuff, and I like the kind of medieval Scottish history and stuff, but just not too well versed in what went on way back then actually, other than in Scotland, because we learned a little bit of that at school. But there you can see, there is the Walhöll Brygghus symbol there, the Viking longship with the nice sail hoisted on it. Very, very cool. It tells you a little bit about the that's what I've just told you about Birka and things like that on the side. It tells you about it being Sweden's first town with the Vikings and stuff like that. But yeah, nicely presented beer, this one. Plain black bottle cap on the top there, 5.3% kind of traditional ale, I guess you could call this one, with birch leaves and Cranberry, which is cranberries. So yeah, let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting then. Very, very curious to see what this beer has in store for us. So yes. Oh well, I would have expected it to be a different colour with that if it had cranberries in it. Did not expect that, I have to say. It does have a wee bit of a kind of tint to it, but yeah. There you go. Get a little bit of the sediment, and we did get most of that in there. But yeah, you can smell the cranberries off this one. It seems to just be a very kind of light kind of pinch of cranberries, if you like. But yeah, surprised the beer has no head or anything in it actually. But yeah, as you can see with this beer, it's poured a lovely kind of quite bright golden yellow colour. Looks somewhat akin to like a Munich, a Munich Helles or something like that, like a kind of German Helles, a Czech Svetli or something like that, or a Czech Leitsak. It'll be Czech Svetli, Leitsak is the amber one. But yeah, it looks like a kind of nice bright pale ale. You know, could be a sort of New Englandish pale ale. It could be a Munich Helles. It's got an appearance kind of somewhat into that, but lovely kind of bright yellow colour. One or two big bubbles sticking onto the side of the glass, a few little ones going up towards the surface there, and the head is pretty much non-existent. You could see that there was a little bit of white foam there as we opened up, but yeah, I think this one should be really quite interesting actually. So let's have a look at that aroma and just see how we get on. Not sure what to expect from this one at all. That smells very unusual. Yeah, so straight away it's very leafy, stating the obvious with this. It almost smells a little bit, it really smells very, very woody and very leafy. I mean, when it's got birch leaves in it, that is kind of what you'd expect. But it's actually very kind of sweet. It's almost like a kind of sappy type quality that you get out of it, like a kind of tree sap type aroma that's in there. So yeah, it's got a lot of that woodiness to it. It's got a little bit of the spice that you get with birch. it really is interesting how that comes out. I have had I did have a beer, I think, from was it Captain Lawrence Brewery over in the States, and I'm sure they put like birch bark in the beer. It was an IPA with birch bark, I'm sure. Forget who the collaboration brewery was, but it was definitely Captain Lawrence. It might have been Popils actually, or was it St Eric's? It could have been. It was one of those two breweries, I'm sure. One of the slightly bigger Swedish breweries, but yeah, Captain Lawrence and one of the bigger Swedish breweries, they collaborated and did a birch bark New England IPA, and that's probably the closest to what I would have had in this one. I don't know how common it was for them back in the Viking days to make stuff like this. It probably was, and that's probably why Karin has brewed this one. I thought the Vikings tended to drink mead, to be honest with you. I thought they drank their beer was a little bit kind of sweeter and things, but yeah. But yeah, as I say, straight away, big kind of barky, woody sort of quality to this one. A little touch spicy, but it does come across as quite sappy and sweet, if you like. It's almost got a little bit of a kind of mapley syrup type vibe to it, but obviously a lot more kind of woody, leafy sort of thing. But yeah, a little bit of a kind of biscuity quality in there, maybe a slight McVitie's digestive, but yeah, very leafy, very kind of very slightly earthy and kind of woody and stuff like that. You do get a light hint of the cranberries coming out of it as well at the front of the nose. The whole back of the nose is definitely that woody aroma that I've just described for you. But yeah, as I say, this beer, it has no hops added to it. The only, that's quite common with Berliner Weisses and some Goses and things these days. And there are kind of traditional breweries in Belgium who added Groot to the beer to kind of to replace the hops, if you like. So it's not unheard of to have no hops in your beer. But yeah, it does have a good little bit of grassiness to it, I would say. There's a bit of earthiness, like I said, very light kind of hints of the cranberries there, just very, very kind of slight. You can kind of tell from the colour, if there was more cranberries in it, I would suspect the colour would be a little bit, kind of quite a bit different from how it is. But yeah, you do get a wee bit of a kind of pale malty bready note in there, a little bit of a kind of McVitie's digestive biscuit, but then you've got that sort of sappy, woody, slightly spicy quality from the birch coming out on top of that. So a really interesting aroma, just light, juicy cranberry notes kind of fitting in with it as well. Take a bit of time and enjoy that aroma before you get stuck into it. It's definitely one of the most unique ones I've come across in the 2,300 reviews on the channel, so definitely worth just taking a look at. Let's have a taste of this beer though and see how we got on. This one is the Birka Tranjuter. I don't know what Tranjuter actually translates to. I don't know if it's something to do with Cranberry, probably something to do with that. I couldn't get an exact translation of the name, but yeah, this one is the Birka Tranjuter, a traditional ale, I guess you could say, with birch leaves and cranberries from Walhöll Brygghus in Söderbärke up in Dalarna county here in Sweden. Let's get stuck into this one. Slange skål. Yeah, this one, it's definitely different, I would say. It's one of these beers, I think, that it's this first impression of this, I have to say. This one, it is one of these beers that strikes me as being done for novelty. I think it has been done for the novelty. I think kind of the way the sort of little description on the website was worded, it seemed as if this had been brewed for like a for an event on Birka. It seemed like it was that was the kind of main idea for this one, that it's been brewed for some event that's gone on at the Birka Museum, if you like. So yeah, it's quite cool to have a kind of traditional, a sort of traditional beer like this for a Viking museum. I think that is pretty cool. So kudos to Walhöll Brygghus for doing something like this. But yeah, I think it is, just going by the way this one is, I mean, compared to the other beers that you can, at least the Odin's Imperium, I've only had the one, like I said, but compared to the other beers you can get from Walhöll Brygghus, I think it's fair to say that this one is a sort of novelty beer compared to those. The Odin's Imperium was just a beast. It was really nice, and they've got other smoked beers. They've got smoked beers in there, like the Ragnarok smoked stout and things like that, or smoked porter, I forget. But yeah, they have got beers that are a lot more kind of bold than this one, I would say. So yeah, this is the one. This is definitely one you would try for the novelty rather than the that rather than, you know, being something that's you know, a ridiculously a kind of beast craft beer, if you like. But yeah, it is quirky, and that's what we want on the channel here now. We want beers that will make us think a little bit, and this one certainly does that. We have to give it that. But yeah, for me, this one, it's pretty much kind of straight up what you would expect from the aroma, to be honest with you. You do get a little bit of pale malt just blanketing the middle part of your palate and the back third of your tongue there. You can feel that the sort of birchy, there's a bit of a birchy sort of woody note mixed into that. You can feel the kind of leafy quality to it there. The leafiness is just kind of giving you that sort of woody impression, to be honest with you. But it does give you a wee bit of an almost floral quality in the middle of the palate, which is quite interesting, because obviously with hops and things, the hops usually give the edge of the beer. It's usually on the very edge of your palate that you get those kind of hoppy, grassy, floral kind of characters coming out of it. But yeah, it's interesting. As I say, you want things like this that are going to test your palate a little bit. But yeah, in the middle of your palate, then you've got a nice little bit of a sort of you do have a little bit of a kind of island there that has it's almost got like a little bit of a McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of thing, but at the same time it's quite sappy and quite you know, just a little bit like a more kind of wet leafy quality there. The flavour of this one in the middle of your palate really is kind of wet leaves, to be honest with you. It really does, you know, it really does kind of taste like that. But in terms of the rest of the beer, it really is just quite smooth and, you know, quite drinkable actually. It's quite a wet, drinkable beer, this one. On the sides of the palate then, a little bit of earthiness in the back corners of the palate, not too dark or anything. Like we said, there's not hops in this beer, but you still do get the impression of a little bit of hoppy character in this one, which is quite weird, and it's probably just, you know, almost muscle memory, if you like, or taste memory. But yeah, I get a little bit of earthiness in the back corners of the palate. There's a tiny little bit of floral note on the kind of front corners of the tongue, and around the very front edge of the palate, I do find it just a little touch zesty and kind of quite grassy, to be honest with you. So yeah. But yeah, this one really is just very, very quirky. So yeah, the front third of your palate then, again, that's where you get the kind of sour quality there. The cranberries are giving you just a little bit of that kind of sour note there, but I think it's the sourness that you get out of this one it's very slightly citricy. Does it say which yeast strain they've used? Would they've used lactobacillus? I don't know. Yeah, I guess it might have been. It might. I think the tartness in this one, it does just say normal yeast rather than lactobacillus or something. So I guess it's probably a normal yeast in this. Either that or it's a mixed fermentation one. And because probably in the Viking times they were brewing with open top, like fermentation and stuff like that, I guess. But yeah, the tartness that you get in the beginning with this one is slightly citricy, but it really juices out and you get the kind of cranberry notes sitting there. The whole kind of front third of your palate's got a little bit of a lemony citric note to it, then it's the kind of juicy cranberry sitting on top of that, and you've got the whole leafy kind of quality of the beer just sitting in behind that. Other than that, there's actually not really much to report in terms of the flavour. As you drink more of it, I think the leafy notes in this one does get, you know, they do get a bit stronger and stronger and stronger. But yeah, I think we've kind of covered all we really can on the taste side of things with this. But yeah, I think overall, if I was rating this beer, it is. I think I would stick with that statement I had on the earlier on in the video. It is a novelty beer. It is. You know, it's not one that you're going to go in session or anything like that. And I think that would be the idea behind with this one. I think Walhöll, they wanted to brew like an old historic kind of ale there. I mean, this is something I'm used to because my local brewery back home, Williams Brothers, they brew the Freya Heather Ale, and that's, you know, that is quite a nice one. It's got a nice little bit of maltiness and things to it. They have, you know, Williams Brothers are great at making beers sessionable, and there's quite a few other sort of traditional beers in there, like the Kelpie Seaweed Ale, the Groatsic, you know, Gooseberry Black Ale and stuff like that. You know, some of those little ancient Scottish beer recipes are very interesting. This one for me, I think, you know, I think this is a beer that I probably wouldn't drink again, to be honest with you. It's just, this one just kind of isn't my thing, but it's definitely nice to try it for the novelty. There's no doubt about that. So yeah, kudos to Walhöll Brygghus for trying something, you know, very traditional. But yeah, it's just this one, you know, if you have the choice of this or the Odin's Imperium that they do, or the Ragnarok smoke beer and things, for me it's an obvious choice just to go for the other ones that they do. But yeah, as I say, it's quite a novelty that they produced something like this, and not many other breweries in Sweden would have a go at it, so you have to take your cap off to them for that. And it is a good quality beer, you can tell with this one it is a good quality beer. It's just not my sort of kettle of fish, if you like. But yeah, this one, interesting beer that, and I would say try this one for the novelty and just have a go at it. In terms of the mouthfeel then, yeah, very, very kind of top end to light bodied, bottom end to mid bodied. Carbonation is very smooth. It's got a little bit of an oily character to it. I think it's fair to say that. The mouthfeel overall, as I say, just light, wet, and you know, it's got a little bit of crispness to it, in fairness. The malty side of this beer, you do have a little bit of smoothness underneath. There's a wee bit of a kind of grainy quality there that comes out the further you go into the aftertaste, particularly on the back of the palate. It does feel a little bit more sort of grainy in my mind. So the beer does get a little bit kind of more kind of regular, if you like, more kind of regular and malty the further you go into the aftertaste. A little bit of kind of slightly sharp sourness in the beginning, but it juicens up a little bit later on. You can feel the cranberries just sort of rolling out on the front of the tongue there. Yeah, very little IBUs in this one. You'd be lucky if you're getting 5 or even 10 IBUs out of this, but you will get a little touch from the grains and things that are in here, and the leafy side of it too. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. A very kind of quirky beer, this one, very kind of old traditional ale. Kudos to Walhöll Brygghus for trying it, but as I say, you know, if you've got the choice of this one compared to the other beers, the Odin's Imperium, the Ragnarok and things like that, for me it's a pretty obvious choice to go for some of the other ones. But yeah, cool to see them have a go at something traditional. As I say, I suspect that this one was brewed as a kind of novelty for the Birka museum or something like that. I think that's what it said on the website when I checked it out earlier. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This one was the Birka, what was the exact name? The Birka Tranjuter at 5.3% ABV, beer with cranberries and birch leaves added to it, from Walhöll Brygghus and Söderbärke in Dalarna county here in Sweden, a little bit further north of me. But yeah, we will go back to this brewery at some point soon. I need to kind of review an IPA, or maybe the Ragnarok is probably a good option as well. I need to see about ordering another beer from these guys pretty soon, actually, because the other beers that I've had from them have been pretty damn good, and this one, as I say, is more of a kind of novelty beer rather than anything else. But yeah, thank you again for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Walhöll Brygghus as well. We will definitely return to these guys at some point soon, and I will be keeping an eye on what different beers they release. But yeah, thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. Check out this one, the Birka Tranjuter, birch leaf and cranberry beer from Walhöll Brygghus in Söderbärke, Dalarna county here in Sweden. You will see more reviews from these guys soon, and I will catch you guys later. Slanja, skål. Make sure you try this beer if you want a little bit of something very, very quirky. Skål.